pushing me around, but I'll stand my ground, and I won't back down.
Rizoli here with my brother Joe. Today we're going to talk about cable television and what is the purpose of cable television. Every town, city has one, some sort of office, a facility so that you can go in there and record cable TV or your own program on cable TV. So we thought that since we've had so many problems with the communist checker in the city of Framingham, we're going to tell you exactly what the real purpose is, because, you know, as most of you people know that have watched our videos dealing with the topic of cable TV, we've been banned for life on cable TV. And a lot of people don't get, you know, that you can't just do something like that and take someone's show off.
You think we committed like the crime of the century or something?
Yeah, I mean to be banned for life. I mean, that's.
I mean, you would think. You know, it's funny. We have a lawyer in town who just got banned from the lawyer profession. He's banned. He can't work in the lawyer profession anymore, and he's on the health department. So he screwed his family.
Well, that's what they say.
Right. Okay. But whatever. It didn't go to court enough to put him in jail, but he's been banned. But he's still on the Board of Health. In other words, he's done a serious infraction, but he's still. But so the Rizolis, what have we done that would be the equivalent? I mean, that would come that close to be that. Were we arrested? Were we put in jail? Were we, you know? It's incredible. Anyways, but that's going off the track a bit. The fact remains, you got to understand, what is the purpose of cable TV? Cable TV, the purpose of cable TV is get individual, no-name people to be able to put on a show and whatever they want, whatever strikes their fancy. And of course, cable TV has many of those shows. We decided to put shows up too. If you read especially if Access Framingham TV here in our town, you know, they have a thing on their website saying, you know, we want people, blah, 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 and they give you this big spiel of what their purpose of cable TV.
They say we want you to be involved. We want you to be doing stuff that represents, you know, your life or whatever. Okay.
And their beef, what it should happen is 90% of cable should be our shows. In other words, people like us that produce the show, edit it, get the talent, and do it and produce it. But that's not what happens. What happens in cable TV is they get their favorites. And they get people that probably haven't even touched an editing machine, haven't touched anything. They produce the video, which is technically in violation of their rules. But they're going to say, well, it was grandfathered in, blah, 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 blah. This, you know, so there's certain people in the town, or our city now, that are having their productions completely almost produced by cable TV. They don't have to do anything. We weren't like that. When I first got into cable TV, I did a history show back in the 90s, 1991. Great history show. I mean, I was in studio, and they did have, you know, when you have the professional cameras and stuff, they may give you help. But I'm the one that edited the show on the you know, the editing machine. I'm the one that put it together. You know what I mean? They didn't.
But they did. The cable TV, they will provide you with their station that you can go in. Right. If you learn the system, you can do it there. But we never ever use their system.
Well, in the beginning when I did my history show, I did have to use their system because they had 3/4 inch editing system. But when we started doing our cable show on immigration back in 2003, 2004, whatever, 5 or whatever, when we started doing our cable show, we were in total control of what we did. Everything. Camera, shooting, talent.
There was no cable show like our cable show ever. In fact, if I can get a clip from it, let's throw a clip in just to show you the quality of the show, because we used a very expensive piece of equipment to produce this show that nobody at the time even had. We were actually producing better quality, or just as good a quality show as a broadcast like NBC, ABC, CBS in regards to news.
So we can show a sample of that.
Yeah, we're going to show you a sample of what the set looked like because again, it's a virtual set. This set doesn't exist. I'm sitting on a chair in front of a green screen. Everything else that comes in to the video is virtual.
Yeah, generated. So go to that.
And that's why any of you people that support them, you really have to have your head examined, because these people are sheep in wolves' clothing. Okay? And then what do? They come after guys like me because I call them for what they are.
But anyways, so the purpose of cable TV is to get shows like that on. When we eventually, before we got kicked off, Jimmy had 2 shows, I had 2 shows, and I had one on, it's called Rizoli on religion. There was another one. We had like 4. Jimmy had a weekly show, and they so anyways, when we started going from immigration to the Holocaust, then of course the Jews stepped in and decided to get up and upset, you know. If a show, let's for instance say I've had a show on for a year, well, we could take ourselves for example, and we started getting into areas like the Holocaust, areas that are going to upset the Jews or people that have weak minds while they're eating their bagels. Well, they, in their rules and regulations, they have this all set up, especially in our place, because they started adding more and more. We had 3 pages of rules. Eventually now it's up to 17 because of the Rizolis. So what happens, so I'll just take you through what would happen. Let's say in our good show that we had on at 9 o'clock at night, which wouldn't happen. You'd never see a show by us on 8 or 9 o'clock. They put their little favorites people in there. In fact, you'd even have...
Well, that's called prime time.
Prime time. You'd have the Brazilians even putting their shows on at prime time, 8 o'clock, speaking Portuguese.
So anyway, all their favorites would be in the prime time. So we never would get prime time, even though we did have our religious show
I think the closest
11 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday.
Right, which is a good time, I guess. I don't think we had it on earlier than 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, Jim, maybe at once, you know. Right. But what happens is, let's put yourself in cable's position, you know, the old FPAC, the now Access Freemium. So let's say the producer's sitting at his house, and somebody calls him up and say, "Hey, wait a minute, that Rizoli show just had, you know, nudity on it." Well, technically, and this happened to us. They must have had a remote from the house that the person was in.
No, they actually went down, Jim.
Oh, they went down there? Okay.
Yeah.
So they went down to the head unit, pulled the plug on the show.
They went down to the office. Where the company is, and they pulled the plug.
They pulled the plug. They stopped the show.
Which was illegal. They had no right to do that.
Right, they know how to do it. If they find that the show is offensive, they could probably stop it. But then they got to talk to you and say, "Listen, we're pulling your show because you have indecent stuff on it. It's hurting people's feelings. It's racist. It's hateful." But all those things, like, I'll give you an example. I mean, I brought the thing. Let me show you the things that this is from the FCC. The rules from the FCC about putting stuff on cable TV. It says criticism, ridicule, and humor concerning individuals, groups, and institutions. The First Amendment's guarantee of freedom of speech similarly protects programming that stereotypes or may otherwise offend people with regard to their religion, race, national background, gender, or other characteristics. It also protects broadcasts that criticize or ridicule established customs and institutions, including the government and its officials. The Commission recognizes that under our Constitution, people must be free to say things that the majority may abhor, not only what most people may find tolerable or congenial. So do you understand what that says? It says we can offend anybody we want. And that's exactly the rules we were following. These were the FCC rules, and now I'm not even sure if they're online anymore. I mean, because we got these online. FCC rules. These are the rules that the cable television people are supposed to have. So,
or they're supposed to abide by.
Right. So when our show comes up and we have stuff that might have offended them, which would be in particular anything dealing with the Holocaust, because it would accept the Jews' viewpoint of history, we feel we have our view of history, and we have a right to tell that view of history. We have every opportunity to criticize, ridicule, and use humor, as we did with Jim Pillsbury, and putting a video of him up, which he had taken down from YouTube. I don't know why even YouTube took it down, because according to...
It was a funny video.
Yeah, a funny video, but because, I don't know, maybe they don't run by the FCC rules. But if we had that video in the studio on Cable TV Access Framingham, we would have a right to put that video up, okay? Because it's a criticism, it's ridicule, it's humor, okay? But cable TV would probably think differently. So anyways, cable has that right, but they have to follow their rules, which in our case, cable TV didn't follow any rules. Now, if you want to take somebody off of cable TV, you do what the FPAC at the time, but that's their name, FPAC TV did back in 2010, and you start filing all these little rule violations with us. You start picking at the show. You didn't have a introduction right. You didn't have this, and you write all these things down. Now, technically, sure, these are things you have to abide by in the show, but they are supposed to talk to you about it and say, hey, Jim Joe, this wasn't right, can you fix it? And we would fix it. That's right, it happened a couple of times, right, Jimmy?
Yeah.
We fixed a couple of things that they're humongous set of rules.
Right before they took us off the air, they asked us to fix something.
Right, and we did.
And we did. We fixed it immediately. And then the next thing you know, we're going up before the Trioca to get us kicked off.
But before we knew it, we were up before a committee.
Yeah.
And what they did now, they came after the content of the show. That's illegal. You cannot come after our cable show. Well, you can come after it, but you're going to have to say, listen, we got to move your spot. Like, let's say it was 10 o'clock. We're going to move the show to, what's it called?
Safe Harbor.
Safe Harbor, which is after 11 or 12, whatever they designate that time. So, but they didn't do that.
Well, let me explain about the Safe Harbor.
Go ahead.
The Safe Harbor was originally, I think, 10.
Yeah.
Then they moved it to 11 because of us.
Right.
So,
yeah,
you know, they kept coming after us, trying to stop us as best they could. So Safe Harbor now was moved to 11 o'clock.
Right. But they cannot come after you for content, no matter what we have on the show. Even, like I said, even nudity.
Right. But let me make a point about this. Another thing they can't do they're not supposed to do is they're not supposed to watch your show prior to being put on. Because, see, now if they were doing that, now they're becoming censors.
Right.
But they did,
right.
Okay? They did that, and they weren't supposed to do that, too.
Right. So what they did with us, I mean, you got to realize, you know, they wanted us off the air. So what they did to us, this must have took hundreds of hours.
Well, they had a person probably 40 hours a week putting this all together.
Watching the shows, being picky about it, finding something they could come at us with. This is what they did. You know, they're like a police guy. A policeman pulls you over. He has a little crack in his light. Comes over and then sees something hanging from the bumper and starts writing you up for everything. Now the point is, technically, I guess they can do that. But technically too, if they write you up, you have to fix it. They never gave us a chance to fix it after a while. They filed. This is the papers. I mean,
how many pages is
oh
that?
My God, I don't know.
Page after page.
Page after page after page. It does 10 pages. What in particular is interesting is that if you can see this in yellow, I had a show on religion, and they came after that. We have freedom of religion in the United States of America.
Except in Framingham.
Except in Framingham. I could talk about remember, it's a religious show. If I talked about the Holocaust, it's a religious show. I could talk about it. They hit us 4 out of 10 complaints. They hit us 1, 2, 3, 4.
Joe, you can have to show it all.
Well, I'm just saying 4 on religion. One of those complaints came from Jim Pillsbury. So Jim Pillsbury, in all these videos that you're watching about him complaining about us, threatening him and all this, Jim Pillsbury came after our freedom of speech, our constitutional right of freedom of speech, FCC rules of free speech that protects the broadcast that criticizes, ridicules established customs, institutions, or even against government. He came against us, Jim Pillsbury, but you don't know that. In one of those instances. The other incident was Mr. Bill McLogan, who was the guy that ran the director that ran FPAC TV. He's the one that runs the cable FPAC. He had no right to do that. That wasn't his job. His job was to take the complaints. He's in, let's see, how many complaints? 1, 2,
Joe,
3, 4, 5,
move it along.
6, 5 complaints of the shows.
Right.
5 complaints. He had no right to do that. If there was a problem with the show, somebody else is supposed to complain. Jim Pillsbury did. He violated our freedom of religion. Okay, where that's going to go now, we don't know. Because I'm mad as hell now. Because remember, I've taken off the air for life. Okay? Because he interfered with my freedom of religion established by the Constitution and everything else. So that's basically what happened in Framingham. Access Framingham made an all-out attempt to come just after the Rizolis. They have never, to our knowledge, done this to anybody's cable show. Nobody. It was directly done to us, pinpointing us, stopping our free speech. But
Again, all instituted by the Jews.
Right, yeah, right. Because
well, explain about Marsha, the woman Marsha.
Well, we actually have a video up on the internet. It's called AFTV Takes the Rizolis.
We'll put a link to it.
Here's what it's called, just so you can find it. AFTV bans Rizoli's cable TV show. That's what it's called. Just remember that. AFTV bans Rizoli's cable TV show. You look that up. You're going to get a video that's 40-something minutes long. That's the Trioca meeting that we were at to try to defend our free speech, right? Jimmy introduces it, talks about it in the beginning, then we go into the meeting. Now remember, we have this meeting. We go in there with my tablet, my new tablet I bought, and they said, well, you can't record anything. Meanwhile, they have a camera on us. And was there a policeman there at that time?
No,
not that time. All right, so here's a camera facing us from in back of them, red light on, recording us. And I'm like, the hell with this. I took my tab out and started recording as much as I could on my tab before the battery died. I think I got a half hour. And so that meeting, we could probably show you some of it or a part of it. But what's really disturbing about that meeting is the people that came against us was Jim Pillsbury. And of course, he's coming against what was said in the show, whatever he wanted to say. And 3 Jews. One, a lawyer, whatever. A lawyer, and then a woman representing the Jews and some other Jewish guy. They talked about our shows causing post-traumatic stress to the Jews that were watching the show. Now remember, our shows are being played at 12 o'clock at night. What the hell Jew, elderly Jew or whatever, who was supposedly in a Holocaust, is watching the show at that time? Nobody. The only ones watching the show are people that represent the ADL, Southern Poverty Law Center, or anybody else who wants to take the show off the air. There's bullshit about post-traumatic stress. You should have heard this woman. And it's in the paper here.
The lawyer's name is Robert Schneider.
Oh, yeah, Robert Schneider. Love the guy. He's all into free speech.
Well, actually,
nice guy.
He used to be on good terms with us.
Yeah.
At the town meeting.
Right, until he sided with the devil. And he even spoke, and he had the gall to say that our TV show should have credits at the bottom of the show saying that this stuff, what, is false or not history or something?
Yeah,
but discrediting our show.
It would be equivalent to fake news today.
Well, no, well, actually,
that's what he's saying.
Right, exactly. Or, yeah, right, fake news. Or can you imagine putting something up on the bottom saying this may not be true, the facts may not be true? Well, we're going to put that up on our show? Maybe they want it. Couldn't believe it. Here's a guy that fights for free speech, civil rights, and he comes against us and joins the Jewish tribe.
Well, he's a Jew, Joe.
Because the Jews stick together. You know, this is what they do. direct violation of our civil rights, our free speech, FCC rules.
All right, so the whole point is that this woman was coming against us,
Right.
and it had to do with content.
Right.
Okay? That's the whole point of this discussion.
You cannot
honestly.
attack a show for content, and that's all they did, right? And then, but they use other things too. Oh, you didn't do this in the beginning of the show. You didn't have, Then they come after you with little tiddly thing. If you read the account here, it says major and minor infractions. All these things could have been settled in 1 second. They call up Jimmy, they email us and say, Jim, Joe, your shows are kind of, remember all 4 of them. And that wasn't true of all 4 of them, but they did it. And say, look, we got a problem here. That's what their rules state. They talk to us and they say, we're going to have to move the show. We have the opportunity to debate that, but then we're going to be reasonable and say, well, maybe you're right. If it offends people, you move the show to safe harbor, and that will be it. They didn't do that.
Well, now just to make the case, because our shows are off the air, and Diane King now is putting the shows on the air, doing it all herself. She's got 4 shows in Framingham now. She has them all, together with Harold, who's doing 2 shows. She does them all.
But she produces them for
But anyway,
Harold.
all her shows are showing the same stuff that we played,
worse.
except they're now in safe harbor. See, we told her, just put yourself in safe harbor automatically, then there's nothing they can do. And her shows have been on for a couple years,
Right.
2 or 3 years, 2.5 years, and they haven't bothered her yet. They're hassling her on things, but
Well, they know they can't do anything.
they can't take her shows off for content.
Right.
Well, they haven't at this point. We'll just have to see how long that goes.
In fact, like I said, in their own rules, 2.3 safe harbor schedule, this is all the facts that they tell you, that they say the executive director shall give the program producer or sponsor the opportunity to be heard regarding the appropriateness of such a scheduling decision. You see what it says? They would get in touch with the director and the producer, and they would say, they would give us an opportunity to be heard. Well, that wasn't done. They just did what they wanted, and they just pulled the shows, and then they put us on trial. Now, what's interesting about this, to show you, this is really interesting. Of course, the ADL is going to be involved in this, because they're going to be always come in when somebody's anti-Semitic. Well, they wrote a letter dated February. This is the one we were first taken off the air. February 26, 2010. This was sent to Miss Francesca Cerruti Harris. She was the acting director at that time. Of course, the ADL goes into this big long spiel. Well, you know how we're a 97-year-old civil rights and human
Just get to the
relations
point.
on.
Get to the end.
And then when they talked about the weekly show, and we put up a program on missing links, that's a very widely shown video on YouTube. It's called Missing Links. And of course, the ADL said, we're a staunch supporter of First Amendment rights, blah, blah, blah. But here's what it says that's the real interesting. The viewers who have contacted the ADL believe that the weekly show contains sufficient offensive content to warrant it being aired during safe harbor hours. This is now what they're telling cable. We encourage you to review the program in advance of it airing. Now remember, they're telling them to do something they're not supposed to do according to their policy. Review a show airing and make this determination and ensure that the public broadcast of the program is in accord with your policies and procedures. Okay? And so they're telling them to make a determination. That determination is to put it in safe harbor. So, then they try to come after us with copyright and all that crap. So, even the ADL admitted that they should go by their policies and
the ADL knew if they said to take the show off the air, they would have been in big trouble. Okay?
Yeah, they said to stick it in safe harbor.
Yeah, they knew what the rules were.
This is the ADL. They have a plethora of lawyers realizing the FCC rules and free speech. They said, check the show out, which they shouldn't have done anyway, and then in advance and put it in safe harbor. and the AFT people didn't. We challenge, what I'm saying, challenge anything that AFT come against what I'm saying here. These are their rules. This is the FCC rules. These are all the rules. Their rules of content, safe harbor. They didn't do anything. They just took us off the air, put us on trial, came after content, and came after even one of the most protective free speech, freedom of religion, and they came after us. Let them dispute it. They're not going to be able to dispute what I'm telling you right now. And that's the issue.
So that's why if people ever want to know why we're so vehemently upset
with Jim Pillsbury,
with these people, is because these people, they live to take us off cable TV.
Right, yeah, that's the only thing they wanted was to take us off cable TV.
That was their thing.
Like I told you, in 1 second, it could have been solved. They moved the show, and that's it. The shows are all in safe harbor. They didn't do it, they came after us, which is the typical Jew move.
And by the way, we appealed it.
Oh, yeah.
And they denied the appeal.
Right.
So in other words,
which it
was just like the Nuremberg trials.
Yeah.
Okay, you just went immediately to be shot or killed. Yeah. Right. Well, actually, they hung everybody at that trial.
Right. Yeah.
But there was no appeals because they hung everybody that were at that trial.
So our point to Jim Pillsbury, you son of a bitch, you came after us, and you came after a show that was called Rizoli on Religion, and you attacked our freedom of religion. You can go to hell, you asshole. Well, how dare you do that?
Okay, we get the point.
Yeah, we get the point. You wonder why we're so mad at them, and yet, even though Jimmy apologized 4 years ago, the matter was settled.
Let me explain about my apology.
Yeah.
Okay, Jim Pillsbury was upset because of my video, the Reefer Man video, showing his head in it, and it was a funny video, parody more or less, making fun of him. Fine. So I didn't apologize for the video. The video was a great video.
Well,
I apologized because if I upset you, I'm sorry I upset you. But I'm not sorry for the video. Okay? You have to understand that. I don't apologize for my videos. Okay? I might apologize if it upsets you, which, fine. If you are that sensitive in watching a video and getting upset, then you got some severe mental problems. And I guess I'm sorry for your mental problems.
So anyways, we have a completely corrupt AFTV, Access Premium TV is totally corrupt. The people that run it now are unethical.
Well, let's put this way.
They shouldn't even be shouldn't be running a station.
Unethical. Right. They're liars. They're censors.
Right.
They're everything a person that you don't want to be. Okay?
And Mr. Mercer, who runs the programming now.
Well, he wasn't there when all these problems happened.
Right, but you think he would listen? But
no, he is
passive aggressive.
He's passive aggressive, and he will not talk to us about any of these issues.
Right.
Nobody will.
Right. In other words, we can't. If we sat down with people and showed them actually the rules and what happened, they would be on our side.
Oh yeah.
But they don't want us to talk.
Right. So they've done everything within their power. Now we're gonna pursue it still. We have a city council now. I'm gonna go before the city council and have an investigation of AFTV. I want these people investigated for what they did to us.
Well, I'm gonna fight them on the religion, the freedom of religion thing. I'm gonna write to the ACLU again. They've refused to do anything about it. This is probably the worst case of censorship anywhere in the United States of America for a cable TV show. They should be ashamed of themselves, being an organization that's supposed to support free speech. They'll support free speech from gays and blacks and Jews and everybody else, but they don't want to support our free speech for some reason.
All right, so we're going to just sum this up here. Well, I think you get the summation of what's going on. We are the epitome of doing good cable. We are what the cable stations are supposed to be supporing. What we do, okay? Think about
and how we produce shows, like Diane.
We shoot the show, produce the show, we get it up. That's cable TV. What they're doing now is, it's all mamby-pamby. They got people that are helping them. The people that are in the show help have people actually producing the show for them.
Very few are locally produced. Exactly.
So we're very unusual that we can use video, the way we do. But we are the epitome of free speech and getting a message out on cable. So I think that's pretty much it. Go to the video, like Joe said. All right, we're gonna put the link for that video in the description in this video, so that you can see us at the cable meeting with these people. It's a 40-minute video, right, or thereabouts, but it will be in the description, okay? So anyway, I think we've kind of beaten that dead horse, and that's pretty much it for today. I'm Jim Rizoli.
I'm Joe.
Thank you for watching. Bye now.
Yep, see you later.
Lie, 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 lie.